friends. I'm Karen, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. Today we're going to talk more about packed lunches, whether they're for your kids at school, your hubby or yourself at work, or even to have pre-made meals at home. So I talked about taking your lunchbox and drawing the shape that you're going to be using with however many compartments it has, and then choosing categories for each compartment. And I mentioned the main method of carrying the food, whether it be a sandwich or a wrap or something, and then all the other categories. We talked about deli meats and cheeses, the protein. We talked about some raw vegetables or salad ingredients. We talked about fruit, and then dairy, whether it's cheese or yogurt, a little dessert or treat, and whatever other categories you feel like or think of, something like olives. So today is simply going to be practical examples. Anything that I've done or seen others do that I like the sound of. You may be the kind of person who wants to have a few set options, perhaps 5 that you do the same every week. You have a lunchbox drawing for each of those, and you do the exact same thing each week on that day. Or you may be the type of person who prefers just the categories and then just add whatever you can find or buy for whatever categories you need for each day. And then see, have you got cheese in the fridge? Have you got yogurt? Have you got grapes? What fruit you've got? So less planning and more category ideas that you can get at the time. It's sometimes harder to think of things at the time, but looking in your fridge certainly helps. I would probably be more the second one, whatever I can find for that category, but it'll certainly help me to still draw in advance and have a general idea of what I'd like to do, like maybe one day wraps, one day pita breads, one day tacos, and one day sandwiches, and then with all the sides that I have available. So here's a lunch idea. You could use some little mozzarella balls or chopped mozzarella into cubes and add some baby tomatoes or half tomatoes with a few basil leaves and a bit of seasoning salt on top. Then for your main part of the meal, you could do a sandwich using lettuce if you prefer not to use wheat. So you put a big lettuce leaf and then a slice of smoked salmon, spread some cream cheese on top, season with salt and pepper, and then another lettuce leaf. Or you could do that and wrap the whole thing in a wrap and slice it up. Then for dairy, you could do a little bit of yogurt. You could do some raspberries and blueberries to sprinkle on the yogurt, and then some kind of little treat. So a little piece of chocolate or whatever you have available. Another idea, you can take baby tomatoes, little wedges of cucumbers, and feta and put them on little skewers or cocktail sticks. That can be your salad portion. You could peel a naartjie or an orange, any kind of citrus, and put the wedges into a compartment for your fruit. For the main part of the meal, you could have a croissant or a bagel, and then do some chicken salad with mayo and perhaps celery or cucumber or apple chopped inside it, and put that into the croissant. If you put butter on the croissant and then you want to protect it from getting soggy from the filling, just put a lettuce leaf or a slice of cheese on each side, and then the filling inside that, the chicken or the tuna salad inside that. So this works great as a croissant, and with a bagel as well. The tuna and the cheese goes really well, and perhaps cream cheese in this case if it's a bagel. So tuna salad with cream cheese, and then cut up that croissant or bagel and put it in your lunchbox. As you already have dairy in this case, your cheese and your feta, then perhaps you could do some seeds and nuts, like a little trail mix, maybe some raisins, cashews, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, something like that for the other compartment, and then a little treat. Or you could put chocolate chips into the trail mix. Another easy treat is to take a little bit of dough or puff pastry and put little bits of chocolate inside it in muffin cups, and then bake that, and then you've got yummy little chocolate treats. Of course, for any of these, you can buy snacks at the grocery store to use, but this definitely decreases the nutritional value of the lunch. And seeing as it's something that our kids or husbands eat a lot of, it's a good idea to make it as nutritious as possible and to use as many whole foods as possible. Just to mention here, you could also go a really simple route for lunch, and that is to make a hot meal. As I mentioned last time, we recently bought a heatable lunchbox, and you put a little water inside, and it steams for about 40 minutes to warm the food. That'll be all ready for his lunch. So then he doesn't have to use an office microwave or wait in a queue until something is available to heat the food. And we'll do things like chicken curry with rice and butternut, or beef stroganoff with green beans, mashed potato and beef meatballs in gravy, any of those type of meals that you often have for dinner and then you have a little bit left over. Just simply pack a lunch meal, put it in the freezer until you need it, and then transfer it into the dish for reheating. In fact, the heatable lunchbox comes with little stainless steel bowls that you can put it straight into in the freezer. Rice and veg in one, meat in the other, and then it's easy to put into the lunchbox and heat when necessary on the day. Okay, going back to some packed lunchboxes in categories, because I think it's really fun to do this way. Some things can still work cold, like some chicken curry and rice. Perhaps they don't mind eating it cold. Generally, it's nicer to have those kind of things hot. Something like homemade chicken nuggets could work in a cold lunchbox, just as a finger food, or little chicken kebabs, barbecue kebabs, or pieces of barbecue chicken that are cold. Those all work great. So the salad I mentioned at the beginning with the mozzarella balls and tomato is a type of caprese salad. So you could do alternating slices of a larger tomato and some mozzarella slices and some basil leaves, perhaps with a little basil pesto sprinkled on top. Then a container of strawberries for your fruit. Then something like a chicken mayo or tuna mayo salad in a container on its own, just to be eaten like that. And then some either rice crackers or wheat crackers to dip and scoop your chicken salad or tuna salad up with, or even corn chips. Then you could do some type of nachos. So you could have corn chips in one compartment and then a bean dip, perhaps either with some beef mince or without. You could add some sour cream to that mix, some salsa. So just make a compartment with the dip and the place to put the chips to dip into. Then bread or a dinner roll with some butter, some cucumber or lettuce, and then ham or some kind of deli meat and sliced cheese is always delicious. On the side, in a different compartment, you could do sliced red peppers. Some people prefer them cooked. So if you just cut them up and bake them with a little olive oil and salt, then those are great, but you can use them raw as well. You could slice some apples and put some almond butter ready to dip in, or you could put some hummus with cucumber and carrot slices ready to dip in. Another way to use a compartmentalized lunchbox is to do a big salad. So in the main compartment, you would put shredded lettuce and maybe some sprouts, some diced cucumber, anything that is the base of the salad. Then in the other parts, you could add things to the salad. So some feta in one compartment. You can have some kind of cooked meat like pieces of barbecue chicken or honey chicken or whatever you like to add to your salad. You could even do something like grated carrot and butternut in one container. You can put some seeds that you like to add to your salad or some cashew nuts in another container. You could put basil pesto or a mix of olive oil and balsamic vinegar in another compartment or in one of the little salad dressing containers. And then anything that you're going to use for the salad for them to build from the different places. So they would take each item and put it onto the salad and mix it all up before eating it. But then it prevents it from getting soggy and becoming mush. You could also take crescent roll dough and put some cheese slices and meat into it and then bake it. Wrap the dough around the cheese and meat first and then bake it, and you get a nice little enclosed pastry with your ham and cheese. Then a Mediterranean style box. You could have pita bread wedges. It's easy to tear up pita breads or naan breads, add a little olive oil and salt, and toast them in the oven. Makes them really delicious. And then a compartment for hummus, some olives, some pitted olives in one compartment, some cucumber slices, then cherry tomatoes and feta cubes. And then the person eating the lunch will just dip into the hummus with any of the options. You could also add some whole chickpeas to that box. Another idea would be some sliced grilled chicken, some hard boiled egg slices, then celery sticks and hummus with some nuts like almonds. So then the chicken slices and the egg and the almonds are finger foods, and the carrot and celery can be dipped into the hummus. Then a snack-like box, you could put some slices of apple and pear, some berries, some pieces of deli meat or other meat, some cheese cubes, and just all the finger foods. A fun one would be the crackers stackers. Take a little cracker, put a little piece of cheese on top and a bit of deli meat, and then have some kind of dip, again like hummus or cream cheese to dip into, with some carrot and cucumber sticks. Chicken pieces are definitely a go-to as well. If you don't want to do the processed chicken nuggets, then just do the grilled chicken breasts with a little bit of barbecue sauce and then something good to dunk it into, like a dunkable sauce, mayonnaise or whatever you prefer. And then add some fruit veggies and you're good. It's good to add wedges of cheese if you're not using cheese in the other parts of your meal, or a good amount of yogurt with some maple syrup, Greek yogurt, maple syrup, or honey, and the berries on top. That's very nutritious. And then mini pizzas, you can use any kind of instant pizza base like pita breads, and then you have a little marinara sauce to rub on top, a topping like sausage or cooked mushroom or pineapple, and then a little bit of cheese to sprinkle on top. You could do melon balls for the fruit compartment. So sweet melon, green melon, watermelon, and even chunks, which is easier than the balls. Falafel with tzatziki is a great option for a lunchbox. When I feel like I need inspiration as to exactly what to put in, I have the general idea, but I want more specific ideas. I look at photos, like I search lunch boxes or Lunchables or bento boxes, and then I just look at pictures and it gives lots of ideas. So crackers with boiled eggs, some celery, some carrot, blueberries, and orange slices. Or little sandwiches with meat and cucumber, grapes, almonds, a little bit of cooked broccoli, and some crackers on the side. Some chicken cooked and sliced, some apples sliced, and then some bread with butter or olive oil and balsamic to dip it into. Instead of plain vegetarian kebabs, you can make kebabs from maybe a baby tomato, a piece of cheese like feta or mozzarella, and some rolled up deli meat on each mini kebab or cocktail stick. Then on the side, you could have some baby carrots, some apple, and some cut up red pepper, maybe a couple of boiled eggs or crackers as well on the side. The easiest treat to use, which is also the cheapest, is probably little chocolate chips. A few chocolate chips in a compartment. Then a deconstructed wrap is a good way to do a lunch. So you could have either small wraps or torn up wraps in your lunchbox. And then in one compartment, you could put some ground beef mince. You wouldn't do bolognese that was too full of sauce, but more a drier one, but obviously cooked. Then you could do shredded lettuce in one compartment, chopped tomatoes in one, and shredded cheese in another. Or you could do the wraps with some shredded chicken in one compartment, some mayonnaise to mix in another one, or perhaps already mixed in, some sliced cucumber, and again, some shredded cheese and lettuce. Always goes well in a wrap. The simplest is always going to be a sandwich, and you can experiment with this. Like I mentioned in the previous podcast, there's so many different kinds of bread you can use, whether it's toasted or plain, whether it's sourdough or not, whether it's a croissant or a bagel or thin waffles. Then it depends on what your person enjoys. But generally, it's great to have as many things on the sandwich as you can. Something crunchy like lettuce or cucumber, something juicy like tomato, and then your meat, maybe different meats, different layers, your layers of cheese, perhaps mayonnaise or mustard or whatever they like to have, and make it interesting and unusual. Even grated carrot can go well on a on a sandwich. So go wild. One more strategy to try and think of ideas is to think of airplane meals, which I'm going to do an episode on in the near future. Think about what you get on an airplane. So you'll get your hot meal, which will be something like mashed potato and meatballs. Then you'll get your little cup of yogurt. You'll get a little bit of cheese, maybe like a laughing cow cheese or a bit of cream cheese, some crackers, and then a roll, and something to drink. So maybe a little juice or whatever you like to add. So it all depends on how healthy you want it to be and how convenient you need it to be, how much time you have, what your budget is. But it's always inspiring to just look at pictures or videos for ideas. I find the videos quite long winded and I like to click through them. So that's why I prefer to look at photos. But anything that gets your creative juices going, and the planning out your meals to be similar for the days of the week, I find the most effective strategy. So perhaps Mondays could be wraps, Tuesdays could be sandwiches, Wednesdays could be croissants or bagels, Thursdays could be deconstructed salad or deconstructed something else, and Friday could be whatever you feel like. And then it gives you a starting point, and then you can add whatever kinds of proteins, whatever kinds of fruit, vegetables, etc. you have on hand. It's also helpful to choose one or two proteins to prepare for the week and have them in your fridge. For example, grilled chicken or chicken in the crock pot that's easy to shred, or some kind of corned beef, whatever you like to make. And then when it's in the fridge, you can add it to a different style of meal each day so it doesn't become boring. You can add it sliced on a sandwich. You can add it shredded with mayonnaise to the salad, deconstructed salad. You can put it on the wrap, etc. And then you're making less, but still making your lunches interesting. And of course, if you need meat last minute and you don't have anything in your fridge, tuna is always a lifesaver to have in your pantry. I hope this helped a little bit to inspire you with making your lunches, and good job for always doing that. It's not easy. And I will see you next time.